to let Kristen and Ashley help me by admitting people in through the waiting room process, and I'll get started. So hello, everyone, and welcome. Hopefully you can see me somewhere on your screen, or you can hear me if you're just dialing by phone. Welcome to A Life of Journeys. I'm excited to welcome you all here tonight for a few performances from members of our greater community. Before we get started, I just want to go through a few important things about tonight's event. In an effort to make sure that the performers can hear themselves and hear one another, I want to make sure everyone else, if you're not performing, to please stay muted throughout the event. There are moderators here who will mute you if you become unmuted during the event. So if you see that you've become muted, that's why. So please keep your mute on if you're not performing. We will take 2 breaks after the first set of performers, and then at the end where the audience will be, you'll be invited to share your reactions to the stories and things that you found exciting, things that you really enjoyed. So we will have a time for that as well. At that time, I will just ask that you keep your comments brief and respectful so that we can make room for everyone who wants to share. Lastly, I know that sometimes audio and visual can be problematic on Zoom. If any of the performers are experiencing challenges with audio or visual during their performance, Kristen, Ashley, or I will let them know and we will try to resolve it. I ask that the audience just sit tight and help us by staying on mute and letting us work out any tech glitches. I know it can be really frustrating, but we will do our best to get through any bumps. The last tip I want to share is that if you're using Zoom app on your computer, phone, or tablet, you might want to switch the view to speaker view, which will usually be found in the upper right corner of your screen. Speaker view will allow you to see the person speaking predominantly on your screen versus the gallery view, which will show you all the videos of people present. Okay, so a quick introduction to me. I'm going to turn off this Welcome to Life of Journey screen so you can see me while I talk. All right. And so you can even hear that I've got some background noise too, so I'll be muted when I'm not talking. All right, so a quick introduction for those who are new to the Literacy Center or don't know me. My name is Amanda Blunt, and I'm the Executive Director of the Literacy Center. We are a nonprofit organization located in Attleboro, Massachusetts. We provide adult basic education, including English classes, high school equivalency, U.S. citizenship exam preparation, and basic computer training. We are the largest provider of adult education in our area, and we serve more than 600 adult students hailing from over 50 countries every year. We are particularly proud to share that we have been recently honored by the Library of Congress for our innovative and replicable literacy programming, and we are an official honoree of the Library of Congress Literacy Awards for 2020. So that is our most exciting newest news. Tonight's event is a celebration of journeys in honor of the Attleboro's Big Read book selection, Circe, by Madeline Miller. I wanted to start by sharing the etymology of the word journey with you. That is to say, the history of the word. The English word journey comes from the Old French word journée, meaning a day's length or day's work or travel. By the 14th century, the word had evolved to mean to travel from one place to another. Today, the word journey has been defined to mean by the Merriam-Webster dictionary as something suggesting travel or passage from one place to another. In a moment, you will hear from 8 wonderful storytellers who will share journeys in all forms, from actual trips and adventures that they've been on, to experiences of coming into faith-based practices, and journeys of the heart and soul through life's challenges. You will note that tonight's performers hail from many countries. One storyteller is even joining us from Vietnam right now, and have diverse experiences, backgrounds, and perspectives. I invite you to listen to these journeys with an open mind and consider how they might be similar to journeys you have experienced. While many journeys are taken alone, one thing I can hope that we can learn tonight and remember always is that there are many shared experiences that connect us as we travel on our journey through life. Without further ado, I'm very happy to introduce our first storyteller, Janice Dexter Ganick. And Janice is also a teacher with the Literacy Center. Janice, you can unmute yourself.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. The story of my journey is called Balancing Act because I believe life is about finding and keeping your balance. I'm sure you've all held your breath watching circus tightrope walkers putting one foot in front of the other as they cross that thin wire. I believe we all walk on imaginary tightropes as we strive to keep our balance on our journey through life. Tonight, I want to share with you a journey that involves my health and learning to live with a disease that affected my balance. Before I knew what was wrong with me, I experienced periods of dizziness and vertigo. Once I felt dizzy, the feeling did not go away quickly. Often it got worse, and sometimes whatever I was looking at started to spin, which made me nauseous. This was my introduction to vertigo. One day I was out walking by myself when suddenly everything started to spin and I crashed to the ground. I was terrified that I had lost control of my body. Picking myself up, I walked home like that tightrope walker, one foot in front of the other. I prayed I would make it home before another attack struck. When I got home, I realized I had a lot of learning to do to keep my balance. A specialist in diseases that affect balance told me I had an inner ear disease called Meniere's. Besides dizziness and vertigo, Meniere's sufferers can lose some or all of their hearing in one ear. The doctor prescribed medicine that would prevent an attack of vertigo, but I had to pay attention to the signs and take the medicine in time. Meniere's disease put me on a tightrope and sent me on my journey to find and keep my balance. Learning to listen to my body, minimize stress, get enough sleep, those were the keys to maintaining balance. Honestly, I felt angry at first. I wanted things to be the way they were. But that little voice inside my head reminded me that God helps those who help themselves. I wanted to keep working and to be an active mom and wife. So feeling sorry for myself was not an option. I had to take action. And that's when I discovered the net. Circus tightrope walkers have a net to catch them. And so did I. It made me feel better. When I had an attack at work, my coworker Donna was there to give me my medicine and to drive me home. My supportive husband took me to appointments for balance retraining and made sure I did my exercises. I also did my part. To reduce stress, I got those 8 hours of sleep a night. I avoided reading bad news stories and focused on the positive ones. By using these healing techniques, the attacks came further apart. Having better balance allowed me to resume doing Pilates exercises for flexibility, something I really love. My husband bought me a stationary bike, and I've ridden over 1,400 miles. On the days that I don't feel in balance, I take my medicine and I cut back on activities. The good news is that I have not experienced a full-blown attack of vertigo for a long time. The bad news is I have lost some hearing in my left ear. My journey of living with Meniere's disease is still in progress. Every day when I get out of bed and put both feet on the floor and I feel in balance, it's a good day, no matter what else happens to me. My journey has made me grateful to health professionals, my family and friends, and to God for giving me the strength to do the work necessary to restore a healthy balance to my life. I wish all of you good health and balance. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's wonderful. Thank you very much, Janice. That's great. Our next storyteller is joining us from very far away in Vietnam, and it is very early in the morning there. So we thank her so much for coming and joining us. Nia, can you unmute yourself and I will get you on the main screen. Give me 1 second here. All right.
Yes, I just have 5 minutes, so I'm gonna to start right now, okay?
All set. Go right ahead.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Today I'm gonna tell you my friend's story. So when she was young, the English wasn't her cup of tea. So she hated English and she never thought about someday she would go to the other country to live there. And at the end, at the age of 35, she met and fell in love with her ex-husband. And she did agree to marry him. But when she was asked about going to the US to live with him, she said no, no, and no. The reason was Americans speak English. So, but finally, she still spent almost 4 years into the US to live with him. And of course, she had to face with many difficult things. But everything had been changed from the day she went to the school, the literacy center. She got a job. She felt more confident, and she loves English. Yes, and her husband told her, "You love English and your school more than you love me." Of course, at that moment, she said, "No, no way." But yeah, he's right. She did. She does. Thank God he's not here tonight. And when they broke up, she told her husband, "I'm done with you, and I'm done with English too." And then she moved back to her country, but she's not done with English because at this moment she's working for a 5-star hotel as an executive housekeeping. She has 100 staff, and her department is the biggest department in the hotel. Every day she has to speak English with her boss, her co-workers, her customers, and she loves her job. She enjoys her life in Vietnam. So I would like to take this opportunity to say thank the Literacy Center. And I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful to all my English teachers at the Literacy Center for making my life better. And thank you for listening, Amanda. Thank you for having me today. And the last thing I just want to say with everybody here, just be yourself, be confident, and be brave. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nia. That's so wonderful. I have to say, we're very, very proud of you for continuing your English journey from Vietnam. So we're really grateful that you keep in touch with us and join us for classes and events like this.
Thank you, sure.
So next up, we have a friend of Nia who is here in Massachusetts. I don't know if actually she's here yet, but let's see if she is. Heidi Padermo, are you here with us yet? Or have you joined yet? I know she has a very busy schedule. All right, I don't hear Heidi yet, but if Kristen or Ashley, if you find Heidi in the participants list somewhere, we will get her up next. So I'm going to jump ahead and welcome Anita Healy, our next storyteller.
Hello, how is everybody? My name is Anita. The story of my journey is called The Mirror of Time. Hi, Grandma. I see you again. What are you wearing on your head? Henry's jovial grin fills the camera screen. My grandson Henry loves our weekly chats via video call. Well, Henry, I have an outing tomorrow, and I thought my hot curlers should work wonders shaping my unruly hair. Unruly? Is that the fashion? Inquired Henry. No, sweetie, it just means that my hair can be wild, uncontrollable. I knew that, says my sweet 5-year-old genius with a sassy grin. My mind traveled back across the decades, and it rested at a point in time around 1973. Mom, my youngest sister Lily, my brother Eddie, and I were enjoying a Saturday late lunch at home. I had pink sponge curlers adorning my head in the hope that my hairdo would make my sweet 16 party even sweeter. The phone rang, and Mom left the room to answer it. Rose, can you imagine if our home phone had a camera? Wouldn't that be amazing? Would you answer the phone looking like that? Well, you know, like the Jetsons. We could call and see each other through a screen, and Rosie the robot would bring me as much cake and ice cream as I want, said Eddie jokingly. Oh, yes, and I could sell the phone cameras to all our friends and neighbors, said my entrepreneurial sister Lily. I responded with a sharp, shrill sound in my voice. No, I'd never let anyone see me wearing these wretched pink sponge sausages on my head. Besides, this nonsense will never be. Our mother returned to the table and said, What a commotion! What's going on? Not much, Mom, said Eddie. We're just dreaming of a future life like the Jetsons. And Rose is worried about her looks. She doesn't want to look scruffy when the Jetsons call her up. Enough of this dreaming and silly nonsense. Get ready now for Rose's party. And remember, exterior beauty is an accessory. I want you all to be concerned about your inner beauty today and always, she told us firmly. Then, muttering in a soft voice, she continued, and if a Jetson's life does become reality, we most certainly want to look our best, regardless, she said with a sparkle in her eyes. Grandma, are you okay? You look tired, said Henry. Oh, I'm sorry, darling. My mind was wandering in a faraway time. Grandma, I wish I could hug you. I wish I could get in a box and press a button and travel to you right now. I grinned sheepishly. Keep wishing, sweetie. Keep dreaming. Because you know what? Your great wish could come true. The mirror of time, a journey reflected in the dreams of yesterday and seen in the reality of today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anita. That's wonderful. All right. Thank you very much. That was great. I love that story. And it does make me think of the Jetsons and how far-fetched that once seemed. And now we have robots all over our homes. Thank you for sharing. I love your writing. I'm going to take a moment and go into gallery view for all of us, and you may be able to do the same on your device, and open this up. We just heard 3 wonderful stories from Janice, Nia, and Anita, and I wanted to open it up if anyone had any feedback. So we're going to try this. There's a lot of people here. There's 71 people here, but why don't you, if you would like to say something, unmute yourself. Please keep your comments very brief, and we're going to see if we all talk over each other. If this doesn't work, I apologize. Or I'll call on you. I'll make Virgily start because she's in the middle of my screen.
Hi. Hi, my name is Julia. Hi. So I appreciated and got something out of each of these stories. I thought they were amazing. So I also, and my mom and my younger daughter all suffered vertigo, and the deafness in the air and some different things. I loved hearing about the journey to the U.S. and then back to Vietnam. But one of the things that I always find is that you never know sometimes where our journeys are going to take you. And I love the story. And then, yes, our Back to the Future piece as well. I loved all 3. Thank you.
Thank you, Juliet. That's great.
Thank you all for sharing your stories. I'm always inspired to hear other people's journeys and where they've come from and their experiences. I know personally people who have suffered from vertigo, and it's not an easy journey to go through. So I commend you for sharing your story, and thank you for sharing with us. And I truly enjoyed your story. You know, your journey through the Literacy Center. As I work with the immersion program right now, it's wonderful just hearing other people's stories. So thank you so much for sharing tonight.
Thanks, Virgily. All right. I'll take one more brief comment, and then we've got a couple more storytellers lined up.
Okay, well, in Vietnam, what are their official languages?
You know, it's so hard because you don't want to talk over people, and then you just wait.
Question.
All right. Okay, great. Well, you can save your thoughts, and if you come up at the end, we can come back to it. I am excited to keep going. We've got some great stories ahead. So I am going to introduce our next storyteller, Melody Kirby. Give me 1 second, Melody, just to switch over to the speaker view for you. All right, Melody. You can unmute yourself.
Okay.
Let's see if I can get you back here. 1 sec. All right. Go right ahead.
Okay. Thank you so much, Amanda. Hello, everyone. I'm really inspired by all of your stories. I have a fun story, my joyful journey. In PBS's NewsHour, the one ABC Big Read Circe author, Madeline Miller, discussed her protagonist, Circe's female empowerment when faced with opposition along her journey. Immediately, I thought of my own encounter with challenging life forces as I had experienced my own newfound life journey struggles as a single mother in the past 8 years. In my first single year fighting the doldrums, I would share my miracle stories of my spiritual edification with friends. Repeatedly, they had insisted, "You've got to write a book, Mel." Shortly thereafter, my friend Elizabeth had called me. "There's a writing class at the Attleboro Public Library I've been involved with, and it's starting up again. And I was hoping that you could join me Thursday nights." As soon as I had heard her words, I had just sensed that I was called to be all in. That writing process had actually begun my own healing experience awareness by recording my miracle stories. Incidentally, some of our Attleboro Public Library Writers Group authors, and also my teenage daughter, have contributed stories for the APL fundraiser COVID Stories collection on sale at the Attleboro Public Library for $10 at their main desk. And the book is dedicated to our APL writer's fearless leader, Bernadine Viega. At every life turn, I would hesitantly meditate, as in the power of prayer in Matthew chapter 7, verses 7 to 11, I would seek and ask and knock, and I'd find, receive, and enter through seemingly perfect doors. Examples of my miracles abound, but I'll share only 2 journeys. One morning, my daughter and I had asked God aloud to please help us find another apartment near my daughter's school. Then we had meditated and called our church family friends to ask whether they had known of a nice place we could rent near their home. I can't believe you're calling to ask me this. I was just about to call you to ask if you knew anyone reliable whom we could rent our home to before we put it on the market, my friend had exclaimed excitedly. A few years later, and that turned out perfectly. A few years later, having learned to trust in God's providence, as seen in my experience firsthand in myriad affairs these past single years, I had become cognizant recently that my last month's rent was being consumed, but I had grown in my trust of God. I had been able to fight my temptation to fear. I had learned to patiently wait upon the Lord for the answer to my prayers. My need for an apartment, for now the 8th time in 8 years, had been pressing. With only 2 weeks left before my impending homelessness, a friend had begun texting me. Suddenly, our conversation had changed topics. She had surprised me. I was considering asking another single mom to stay with me, she had offered. Ha, I had replied. I'd love to accept that offer. Our faith-filled families are already friends, too. And I'll need somewhere else to stay in 2 weeks with my daughter. So all of my apartment moves have absolutely felt divinely orchestrated to meet my timely need. May you all find delight and spiritual empowerment upon your own life's journeys.
Yay, thank you so much, Melody. That's great. I'm sorry, I'm not the fastest with all of my movements here on the screen, so thank you. Great. All right, we're going to move right along to our next storyteller, Noy Armel. Noy, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi everyone. I have a very, very exciting story to tell today. So I would say a trip to Laos. My husband and I took a trip to Laos in October 2019 for 4 weeks. We took a flight with Qatar Airlines from Boston to Dubai, to Bangkok, which is in Thailand, to Vientiane, which is Laos. The flight took 21 hours per trip. On the very first day, we arrived in the early afternoon. We were very excited and exhausted at the same time. The weather was too hot and dry, but we were okay to start to have a good time with a very warm welcoming from my family, friends, neighbors, but there was no hug and no kisses because of the Lao tradition. We support not to do that when we are greeting people. The delicious food, the local beers, the bottled water, like a spring water, and fresh coconut juice were ready prepared for us. We were drinking Lao beers and having Lao traditional foods and talking Lao. There were chicken salad, chicken lap, sweet and sour chicken soup, and fresh green papaya salad with some steamed sticky rice. Of course, I love my original traditional Lao food, but the papaya salad was a little bit too spicy for my husband, Jesse. After we recovered from our jet lag for a couple days, I took Jesse to go out around the village nearby along the dusty road to checking out how the local people live, seeing the properties, stop at the Buddhist temples, and visiting the rivers. We also spent almost a day at the casino and took a boat ride with the food and drinks were included. Surely we have taken a lot of pictures and we had a lot of fun. Week number 2, we went to Luang Prabang province in the north part of Laos for 4 days by the private van with my sisters, nieces, and nephew. It took us for 13-hour ride. After we checked in at the hotel, we went to the Kwangsi River waterfall for a few hours and came back to the hotel. At night, we walked along the street, eating the street food, shopping with Lao money called kips. Then we stopped at the bar for a few drinks and listening to the Lao country folk music. We had a lot of fun. After we came back from Luang Prabang, back to my house again. The following day, I became a monk. This is very exciting. I became a monk for 3 days. I had to shave my hair and had to wear a set of the yellow robe, stay in the temples, no dinner, do the chanting every day, staying and saying Namo Tassa, Sadhu, Sadhu. That's a monk words, and there's so many more monk words, but I couldn't remember. While I was in the temple as a monk, I had to get up very early at 4:30 a.m. to get myself ready, same as another monk, wearing set of the yellow robes, which I couldn't even know how to wear them. In the morning, every monk had to do their daily routine, chanting at 5 o'clock. After that, we take a walk with the barefoot for a mile to collect food from the people in the village. Then we return back to the temple to have breakfast at 7 o'clock. And then there are some monks go to school at 8 o'clock. Some monks come back to the temple for lunch at 10:30 and then go back to school again. In the evening, all the monks have to do the chanting again together at 6 p.m. After that, everyone must stay in the temple, no dinner. That is all the responsibility of all the monks. And I could only have done that for only 3 days and I quit it. Obviously, time flew by faster than I realized. Jessie and I had such a very, very awesome, wonderful time in Laos. We had to come back to home sweet home in America. I miss my family, I miss my friends, I miss many, many places, and I miss the nature and everything. For sure, we will be going back to Laos soon. Great. Thank you for your listening, everyone.
Thank you so much, Noi. Oh my goodness, that was wonderful. And I laughed out loud. So it's good that I was muted because I was just giggling over here.
No.
I think I could have only done that for 3 days, maybe only 1 day. So you did better than me, probably.
Thank you. Okay.
That was wonderful. Thank you. So we have 2 more storytellers this evening, and we are moving quite quickly. And I'm not sure if Heidi came. I'll keep an eye out to see if I don't see Heidi, so she might not have been able to join us. But if she pops in, we'll get her in. We do have 2 more storytellers this evening, but before we move on to the last 2, I wanted to say a really, really big thank you to Double ACS. They are our local television station in Attleboro, and they are supporting our live stream tonight. So we could not have done all of this technology without you on Facebook and everything. So thank you so much to Austin and the team and Jim for putting this together for us. We appreciate it. I also would like to thank the Attleboro Public Library. Every year, the library and their director applies for the grant from the National Endowment for the Arts that allow us to participate in the Big Read events. The Big Read is a series of events that promote reading and literacy throughout the community and encourages us all to dive into a book together. So I really do want to thank the library for continuing to include the Literacy Center in that effort each year. We just love being partners with you, so thank you. So we'll move on to our last two. We have another teacher from the Literacy Center who is going to be coming up next. I believe Barb is here. I think I saw you come in. So without further ado, Barbara Goad, one of our high school equivalency teachers with the Literacy Center. And Barb, you can unmute yourself.
Oh, there I am. Okay. Hi, I'm Barb, and I teach I'm one of the high set teachers at the Literacy Center. I am going to try something a little bit different here. I'm going to do a screen share and have some pictures for you with my story. I practiced. Let's see if I can get this going. Here we go. My story is called Hiking. I've been hiking in the state forests during the pandemic. I get exercise, see lovely sights in nature, and can be with friends at a distance in the open air. I hike at different times with two different people. One friend likes to stick to the main trail, which is wide, open, and made of gravel. When I hike with him, we can walk side by side, 6 feet apart, and it's usually an easy walk. It's good exercise, and we have some great talks. We can concentrate on our conversation because the trail is fairly smooth and we don't have to think much about tripping and falling. My other friend likes more challenging hikes that explore the smaller side trails. These narrow trails wind uphill and down and are full of rocks and roots that can trip us up. The trail is sometimes swallowed up by watery areas, and we have to balance on slippery logs to get past the mud and muck. She and I hike single file, also spaced 6 feet apart. We still talk while we hike, but conversation is less the focus because we have to concentrate on keeping our balance. Sometimes we follow a trail and it peters out. We find ourselves in the middle of the woods with no way to go forward, so we retrace our steps and see where we got off track. Each hike is different because we don't have a plan and we're not following a map. I've seen beautiful sights on both hikes. I have had great conversations with both friends. Spending time with both of these people is important to me, so I'm happy to go on both types of hikes. My preference, though, is to take the smaller, less traveled trails. I like pushing myself to do something that is difficult, and I like being surprised what we might find deep in the woods. Thinking about these hikes reminded me of a very famous poem by Robert Frost titled "The Road Not Taken." Robert Frost is often called America's poet. He lived in Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Vermont. His poems depict realistic New England life. He won 4 Pulitzer Prizes for his work and spoke at John F. Kennedy's 1961 inauguration. And this is The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both and be one traveler. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other, just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that, the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day. Yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I should be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all the difference. Ha! It always makes me tear up. Can you see why this poem reminded me of my choice of hikes? The Road Not Taken is a poem that allows the reader to think about choices in life, whether to go with the mainstream or go it alone. How do you choose? Why do you make that choice? If life is a journey, this poem highlights those times in life when a decision has to be made and you have to decide, which way will I go? Here we go. Thank you. I cannot hear. I can't hear anything. Amanda, are you talking?
Oh, there we go. I'm sorry, everyone. I was muted too. I always do that. Thank you so much, Barb. I loved that. And I loved the addition of the photos as well. That was made it extra special. We're going to welcome our final storyteller for the evening, and then we'll open it back up for some feedback from the audience. So I will welcome Dan Ouliette. I hope I'm pronouncing your last name correctly, Dan. I realize now I've never actually said it out loud, but welcoming Dan from the North Attleboro Housing Authority. I'm so happy to have you. Dan, you can unmute yourself, and then I will move into speaker view.
I think I'm unmuted, and it's Dan Ouliette. It's French.
Ouliette. Perfect.
Good evening, everybody. The poem I'll read for you tonight is one I first heard many years ago, and it kept a familiar ring. It was cute, it was quaint, until one day one elderly gentleman recited it to me in one of my moments of struggle. Suddenly, it brought new strength to my convictions, and it's inspired me ever since. That scene is simple. I was a new director in a small housing authority, and I was faced with a particular challenge that just seemed impossible. It was the same challenge previous directors had faced and I had worked with for 3 years, but none of us had been able to get funding for new roofs. Imagine that. The roofs kept deteriorating, and they now threatened endangerment to our elder residents. We had just finished a board meeting that night. Some tenants stayed behind to chat, and this guy asked if I would be at the community coffee clutch the next morning. Sure, I'll be there. As always, I arrived early, but he also arrived early. And he brought coffee to my office, and he offered advice. Now, I always listen to our elders. In particular, this person in the past had demonstrated some value for his decades of experience and wisdom. He reminded me of my struggle, and he recited this poem. Sorry for the chimes. It Couldn't Be Done by Edgar Allan Guest. Somebody said it couldn't be done, but he with a chuckle replied that maybe it couldn't, but he would be one who wouldn't say so till he tried. So he buckled right in with a trace of a grin on his face. If he worried, he hid it. He started to sing as he tackled that thing that couldn't be done, and he did it. Somebody scoffed, "Oh, you'll never do that. At least no one else has done it." But he took off his coat, he took off his hat, and the first thing we knew, he'd begun it. With a lift of his chin and a bit of a grin, without doubting or quitted, he started to sing as he tackled that thing that couldn't be done, and he did it. There are thousands to tell you it cannot be done. There are thousands to prophesy failure. There are thousands to point out to you one by one the dangers that wait to assail you. But just buckle it in with a bit of a grin. Just take off your coat, go to it. Just start to sing as you tackle that thing that couldn't be done, and you'll do it. Now, since then, I've taken on challenges that were unsuccessful for past directors before me, and I began the foundation of accomplishing that which couldn't be done. The doing of those tough tasks has earned me much respect and confidence from tenants, from staff, and local department colleagues who are familiar with past directors with failed attempts of the same thing. I attribute part of my confidence to that gentle advice of one elderly resident. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dan. That was so wonderful. All right. Wow. So many wonderful stories and such diversity of stories here tonight. I know we had a spot held for one more participant, so we have a little bit of extra time, but I would like to open this up for some feedback. We just heard stories from Melody, Kirby, Noy Armel, Barbara Goad, and Dan Ouliette. Oh no, I did it again. I'm sorry, Dan. So I'd like to open up some feedback. If you would like to unmute yourself and share any reactions to the stories that were just shared, or even the earlier ones from Janice, Nia, or Anita as well.
I'd like to talk about the vertigo and that road not taken. I'm going to tell you that I identify with both of those. I don't have any serious form of vertigo, but every once in a while, I step up or stand up and I have a bout. And I have to grab onto something because as much as I am usually steady and sturdy and confident, in that moment, I'm a weak anything. So that struggle, I applaud for anyone who really accomplishes that. And I appreciated the story. I appreciated the personal touch there. And the road less traveled, well, you know, normal is not my thing. So something different, something better, something new. And I definitely appreciated that Frost poem.
Great. Thank you so much, Dan. Kim, I saw that you unmuted yourself. Did you want to say something?
I am inspired, as always, by everything that the Literacy Center produces, and the remarkable people I've met there is just reinforced tonight, and I applaud all of you. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Kim. Well, we thank you for everything you do for us. Kim is a volunteer with us, and she's remarkable as well. So thank you. I did not pay her to say that. That was truly unplanned. How about any of our students? I see a lot of you there. Any feedback from anyone who would like to make a comment?
Okay, Amanda.
I think I hear you, Coltrane. Let me see if I can get your video. One sec. Hold on, Fred. You there? Okay,
Yeah.
I can see you. Did you have some feedback for one of our storytellers?
Okay, well, I know this has nothing to do with the stories, but I have a question. How do you train your body to be able to handle a lot of sugar without having a high blood sugar? How do you make your body be able to contain, like, you know, more than usual?
Well, that's a great question, Coltrane. We're going to keep it to the storyteller's feedback for right now because we have so many people here to talk about the stories, but you and I will talk about that offline because I know you have a million questions.
Okay, sorry for talking about sugar.
That's okay, bud. Yeah, Mary, I see you waving your hand there.
Thank you, Amanda. My name is Mary Horrigan, and I think in this group I represent some of the history of the Literacy Center.
You do indeed.
And I would like to applaud all of you for taking part in this adventure. When I saw it online, I had to RSVP and I looked forward to it and I was well rewarded. Thank you all. As a former board member, as a former teacher and volunteer and then teacher, I would like to say the Literacy Center is alive and well, and you all represent the wonderful future that it has in Attleboro. And thank you, Amanda.
Well, thanks, Mary. We love to see you. And it's so nice to see so many faces, new and old and past and present here. So it's just wonderful. That's the one beauty of this horrible situation we've all been enduring, is that we have this opportunity we probably never would have to have everyone in a virtual room together to be able to share. And I see some faces from California and New York and other places. So I see some of my family here. So it's just really lovely to have everyone together, and I appreciate it so much. And Vietnam, Nia, you must be so tired right now. So it's just really great to see you all. Anyone else want to share some thoughts or feedback about any of our stories? Andrea?
Yeah, first of all, thank you, Amanda, for this. This is my first experience with the Literacy Center. And what a group.
Oh, I just lost you for 1 second.
Impressed.
There you go.
And I'm back. And so I was thanking Amanda. And I just want to thank all the storytellers. It was so precious and such a treasure to hear your stories and to hear your openness and your vulnerability. It was really beautiful. And I did want to say that I thought Dan's poem at the end was sort of almost a mantra for all the other stories. Just do it. Each one of you had a challenging situation and you took hold of it and you made something of it and you struggled through it and came out the other side and wrote a fabulous story and shared it. And so thank you so much for someone who is not a good storyteller and so appreciates storytelling. And I can't wait to hear more and see more of you. What a beautiful cacophony and panoply of beauty. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. That's so beautifully shared. Thanks so much. I do think it's important to note, though many know this, I think what's so wonderful also about tonight's storytellers is many of them wrote these stories and performed them in some not their second, not their third, not their fourth languages. So I applaud all of you and all of our students who are here, who are working on their storytelling and their writing in English. No one here tonight, even those of us whose native language is English, this isn't easy for anyone. So a huge applause to all of the storytellers, but also particularly to those who are performing in a language other than their first language. That's really incredible. So thank you so much. Well, unless anyone else has some feedback, we can wrap up a few minutes early. I'll give it 1 sec. I know it's hard to mute and unmute.
Amanda, it's Chris.
Oh, hi, Chris. Chris Johnson is the director of the Attleboro Library. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for hosting this. It was really awesome. All of the stories were so inspirational, and I really do appreciate you, Amanda, for taking this on and being a part of our Attleboro's 1ABC NEA Big Read. I do have to give a plug for the book Circe. If anybody wants to come to the farmers market this weekend, we're giving out free copies from starting at 9 until we run out. So please do stop down. But the stories, each of them were so unique and so personal and just so well done. So bravo to all. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much. And it is a great, great book. So if you, we also have copies in Spanish and French at the Literacy Center. If anybody would prefer to read in Spanish or French, you can give me a shout, email me, or text me, and we'll get you a copy. Thanks, Chris. And Barb, did you want to say a last comment? I saw you unmuted.
Well, I also love that book. I'm about 3/4 of the way through, and I stay up late reading it. I only started it a couple of days ago, so it's real page turner, I think. And I wanted to ask Noy a question about his experience being a monk. It sounded like it was a hard life, that there was a lot about being a monk that's different than our lives here. But what I wanted to ask you, Noy, was you told us about what was the hard part about being a monk. What was the best part about being a monk?
Thank you for your question. I would tell you the best part of being a monk is helping me to keep myself calm down, practice meditating, and learn to forgive and give more than take, which means that the other hard part is I have to sit down with folded legs, like on the floor, and have to shave my hair and wore the robe, a set of the yellow robe, which no arm, no sleeve, but just fold it like that, which I never known. I still couldn't remember how to do it. And many more monk words I still couldn't remember, just only a couple words, you know. Yeah, and the most important part, no dinner at all, period. And then everybody has to stay in the temple at night, no cell phone, no social media, no Facebook. But I did it.
Congratulations. And
That's so great.
Sounds like you learned some really good life lessons and life skills in that short time that you were there.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Barb. That's a great question. And I love, we have to remember there's much untold parts of our stories too, of course. Well, with that, I'm going to potentially figure out how to wrap up here. Hold on. Sorry, Barb, I just made your video really large. Well, I won't try to do what I was doing, but all right. Well, with that, we'll wrap up tonight's journey. This has been a wonderful event. This is our first time doing an event like this, but I think it sounds like we might need to do it again. So Thank you all for coming. We had over 75 people here tonight. Such bravery from our storytellers and such gratitude to our audience from joining us from near or far. Again, this was put on tonight by the Literacy Center. If you were inspired by our work or want to learn more about what we do, you can visit us on our website, which is just theliteracycenter.com. You also can follow us on Facebook and make a contribution to our mission if you're so inspired. So I greatly appreciate you all. It is wonderful to see you, and I look forward to seeing you again at another event soon. Until then, be well on your journeys.
Before
Take care.
you leave, I got something to add.
Bye.
I would like to add something.
Yes.
Before we leave in, I would like to add something.
Sure, Terry, go ahead.
Yes, I would like to say thank you for all my teachers, all teacher and literary centers, especially Karen John. And I would like to say to her, I'm really, really proud of her because of her, even it's not a story, but just to say thank you to everyone, because the teacher and the literary teacher, you are very, very, very patient to every student, even from different people. But I think it was the experience was, I would say, amazing, because especially me, I never thought one day I could say something, one phrase in English. But now I almost understand everything. Thank you, teacher. Thank you, leader. And especially I'm proud of Na.
Thank you so much, Terry. That's so nice of you. And I know all of our students are so so kind and so generous with their compliments to their teachers. We have an amazing group of teachers and staff. So thank you for reminding us that, Terry, tonight. All right, everyone, be well. Have a wonderful evening.